So I was armed now with a new viewpoint on prayer and a new strategy for blessing those intensive care babies, and so I charged ahead with my mission. As my hand touched my head and then my heart, I would breathe deeply, gathering all the healing strength of the universe into my fingertips as strongly as I was able, along with the truth and strength of my mind and the love of my own heart. And as my fingers left my chest and were placed squarely on the infant's isolette, I would breathe out, slowly, deeply, with focus. All that energy that I had gathered from around me and within me would flow through my fingertips toward the tiny baby struggling for life. I am not a superstitious person. I am actually quite a cynic. But when I could physically, actually see a baby calm down during their blessing, when the nurse would call me over and say, "Could you bless this baby before I put in an IV?" You bet that I stayed at those isolettes, praying over those babies. The really sick ones, the ones that were on the highest levels of medication, and the doctors didn't know what else to do, I would sit by their beds for 20, 30 minutes at a time, just simply breathing the strong and positive energy of the world around them into their tiny bodies. You are loved. You are a child of the universe. May your tiny heart know love, and may your tiny body grow and become healthy so that you might live to be a blessing to the world. Some babies, sadly, still died. I am not a miracle worker, and I will not claim to be one. But the assignment to silently pray for each infant had forced me to consider the deeper questions. Who or what am I praying to? What am I praying for? The simple grace at the Thanksgiving table I had given as a 5-year-old child was an expression of words I believed I was supposed to say. My theology had obviously not grown much by the time I started chaplaincy, because my theology of prayer was simply to express the words I felt were generally appropriate at the right time. It is my impression that many people are confused about prayer and stumble through words that they aren't sure mean anything. I'm Liz. It's nice to meet you. I'm a big fan of your work. But prayer is so much more than that. Liberal theologian Friedrich Schleiermacher wrote in 1799, that religion is the intuition of the universe. It cannot be taught or reasoned or even perceived through the senses. It is those moments of deep connection to the universe that Schleiermacher would assert that we are acting religiously. Religion, the word, is most likely a derivative of the Latin phrase religare, to reconnect. Religion is what binds us to those deep mysteries that we cannot fathom, but can only intuit. Prayer, then, is about feeling. Prayer is about feeling. And we Unitarian Universalists, in our quest for a rational and skeptical approach to religion, have all too often foregone the emotional aspects of religious life. We love to think and read and debate and question, but when it comes to knowing in our gut, we tend to get a little nervous. But I do not doubt that those moments of deep religious connection have occurred in each of our lives, whether we choose to name them as such. Name them. Call those moments of intuition religious, and cultivate them through prayer and spiritual practice. Schleiermacher's approach to religious life was one that stemmed first from personal experience, and then grew to incorporate the religious themes that he believed through faith. Unitarian Universalists also affirm personal experience as an important source of religious inspiration. We call it, quote, that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uphold life. Leave it to a bunch of Unitarian Universalists to make something that wordy, but it means that we value openness to personal religious experience. When a friend and I were chatting a few weeks ago about this sermon, she asked if I would be giving you some suggestions about how we can begin to cultivate a prayer life. I told her I would, but then I changed my mind. The problem is, I don't want you to take any of my suggestions as the right way to start praying. That would leave you where I was in the hospital that summer, mimicking the prayers of others. But I ask that you just let go of your assumptions and try different things until something authentic opens your heart. Like I shared with the children during the Time for All Ages, religions around the world have generated many, many ways that people can encounter the divine. Sometimes these have evolved into empty ritual over time, but they are designed to prepare a person for connection with God, for intuition of the universe. The low bows and prostrations of Muslim prayer is designed to remind the individual of his small and dependent place in the world. And we could all use some humility sometimes. Open hands raised high in the air are an acknowledgement of openness to the divine presence. Repetitions of the name of God in Sufi practice or of a mantra in Buddhist or Hindu practice center the mind. These ways are simply vehicles for preparing oneself for intuition of the universe. They are not the prayer itself, they are the vehicle. When I would touch my hands to my head and my heart and toward the baby in the hospital that summer, I was preparing my body, and thus my mind and my spirit, to serve as a conduit for the ever-flowing energy of the universe to be transformed into a healing force of love for those infants. I continued to pray aloud with adult patients as they desired. I even taught one elderly Christian woman how to pray about her scriptures using the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh's meditation method. She told me she never felt so connected to her Lord. Some of my seminary friends used to engage in a weekly moving meditation that we called Dance Tribe, that helped us open up our minds and hearts to things we couldn't know if we were sitting still. Others prefer the sitting meditation in the Zen style, or simply walking in the woods. In true Unitarian Universalist fashion, I will not tell you one right way to pray, but I will also not suggest that prayer is something that is unnecessary or optional to religious life. Whatever the method, the intention to connect to the holy out of gratitude, wonder, fear, comfort, or need is a human imperative. To write it off as superstitious does us a great disservice to our experience of the world. If we only value what we can perceive through our five senses, we are limiting our possibilities of deeper connections to the world, to the universe, to each other, and to our own true nature. This Thanksgiving season, I ask that we all take a moment each day to intuit the universe, not just repeating the words that we believe should be said on the day of the feast. It is every day that through prayer, silent, spoken, sung, danced, served, that we can deeply intuit the universe and live out a way of reconnecting to that which inspires awe and reverence. To lack connection is to fragment the wholeness of human experience, and to gain connection is to be religious in the literal sense of the word. May we be truly religious people in and through our lives. May we regularly make time for intuition of the universe. Blessed be. Amen. The time for the work of worship has ended, and the work for you to each other and to the wider community has begun. Go in peace, in prayer, in love, and in service.